All right, everybody, what is up? What's happening? My name is Brandon Osborne. You may better know me as Control for Days. Today, we are playing in the Saturday Modern Challenge. This is Saturday, January 21st, and we are going to run through this challenge with the newest list, Yawgmoth version 8.6, with some fairly significant changes based on what I think the current metagame looks like. I'm going to take you through the main deck, and then we're going to jump into match number one. My main deck, I have a pretty standard configuration that I run, and today I am switching it. The biggest thing is I had ideas with what I wanted for my sideboard, and because of that, I needed space for one more card. Hapatra usually is in my sideboard, but today I moved Hapatra to the main deck because I needed an extra room in the sideboard. So we have cut Drolf's Messenger from today's list, and we have put Hapatra in that slot. Besides that, my main deck is stock for what I normally run. One Prosperous Innkeeper over the 4th Wall of Roots, 3 Evo, 2 Endurance. Everything else is fairly normal. The sideboard cards I wanted to make room for today. I wanted a 1-mana removal spell because of the popularity of Prowess. So I am playing a Blood Chief's Thirst today. Zerk was running one of these a week or so ago, and I like the versatility of it in that it can answer anything, and it's 1 mana, and it takes out a lot of problematic creatures and permanents within the format. Still on 2 Thoughtseize. I wanted to run 2 Veils for scam matchups, which I expect to see at some point today. Haywire Might has been great for me. I like it better than Outland Liberator, I can say confidently now. Scavenging Ooze is the weakest card in the sideboard, but I like having access to it for life gain and because it can just take over games when it is good. 2 Endurance, rounding out the full play set. Magus of the Moon, I'll explain a little bit more why I had this back in the sideboard. 3 Force of Vigor, and then 2 Chalice of the Void. So I'm not running Necromentia today, I'm running 2 Chalices in their place. Chalice is better against Cascade decks, and Rhinos I think has been growing in popularity again. So I'm running Chalices instead of the Necros. The matchups you get hurt in a little bit would be Amulet Titan and Tron, and for that reason, that is why I am running the Magus of the Moon in the board. So Chalice, I am also intrigued about the possibility of having some splash value against Prowess and against Breach, 2 decks that are very popular right now, so that is also, I think, incentive to play Chalice right now. So this list, I haven't actually tested it. This is all theory, but we're going to see how it pans out over the course of this challenge. So this is what we're running, version 8.something, 8.6. Let's see how it goes. Round 1, let's do it. All right, what is up, everybody? This is round 1 of the Modern Challenge. We are playing against Rosie Dog 88. We are on the play. We'll take it. We will take it. Opening 7, a little bit slow, but I think this is a keep. We're going to run with it. All right, let's see what we are up against. I just took my dog for a walk. It was a rushed situation to make it here on time, but we're here. We're in it. Okay. Leading on our Verdant Catacombs past the turn. We're going to be fetching end step. We'll see what they are playing. They lead on an Arid Mesa fetch. Get a basic plains. Could this be Hammertime? And it is Hammertime. Let's see if they have a 0 drop. Just the Sicarda's Aid. Okay, we like that. This hand lines up pretty well against Hammertime, I think. Let's see if we pull another land here. We do. So the question from here is, do we Wall of Roots and then Yawg next turn, or do we Hapatra and then hope to Yawg on the following turn? So we can go, if we go Hapatra this turn, worst case scenario, we go Wall of Roots, Blood Artist next turn, and then the following turn we'll have Yawg, and that will probably be a turn 4 kill. As opposed to Wall of Roots this turn, Yawg next turn. I think Yawg next turn's probably the safer move, so I think that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to preserve a little bit of life here and play out the Beseiju. Might be a mistake, but as opposed to shocking. Alright, we'll pass their turn 2. I've been seeing so much Hammertime recently. Shifting the Hapatra over to the main deck should help with game 1s in this matchup. It shouldn't make too much of a difference, but alright, Gingerbread's kind of annoying. We might need to kill that. Gingerbread can pose a problem. Alright, there's our second Yawgmoth. We will pay the life, and we're going to kill the Gingerbread here and now. We just can't afford for it to get to protection and run us over. It does kind of take us off a Hapatra line a little bit, but we kind of have to. Now, if they have double hammer, like if they swing in with the giver, this looks like it should be a human, but it's not. There's the chance we die. There's a chance we lose here. All right, they play out a Blinkmoth, and we'll see if they pass the turn from here. Combat. No attacks. Okay. So we are kind of in the clear here. Geist, not bad. So we're going to lead on a bird here, and then Hapatra. And Hapatra is going to give us the ability to pretty much wipe their board. They shouldn't have any targeted removal game 1 here. So Hapatra gives us some freedom with this here. We'll see what they can do. Okay, they make a guy. Give the guy protection. Okay, I think that was a good play. Can't Hapatra it down this turn. We'll lead to the trigger, or yield to the trigger. Kill the giver. And we drew our 9th Yawgmoth here. Play out the basic swamp, and then we'll pass the turn. And so there's always the question, do they have a main deck Pithing Needle? I think it's unlikely, so with that being said, I'm gonna wait for them to get something with their or with their Saga before I mow it down with my Hapatra and Yawgmoth. Let them get it, let them target, and then I'll mow it down. Okay, and in this case, because they've activated now, I'm just gonna do it now because it will make the constructs bigger if I wait. And this is gonna be pretty tough for our opponent to come back from, I think. Game 1 Hapatra paying dividends already. All right, and they just scoop. They're not winning from here. All right, game 2. Bring in our Force of Vigors, bring in our Haywire Might. I feel like there's another card I usually have for this matchup. I don't know if Thirst is really that good. Let me see here. Well, I guess I usually bring in Hapatra, but Hapatra is already in the deck, so this should be okay. 4 cards. We're going to cut a Geist. We're going to shave on some walls. And we keep the Geist. Shave an Endurance. Keep a wall. I wonder if I bring in the Thirst. I feel like that might be a little slow, just because it's sorcery speed. I feel like this configuration should be okay. We'll run with it. Game 2. Up a game. Okay, I think this hand is a keep, if I had to guess. I think this is pretty good, and our opponent mulligans to 6 cards. Best card they can play out turn 1 is going to be a giver, I feel like. Just because it insulates them a little bit. But this hand is pretty strong, so we'll see. 6 card hand, our opponent keeps, plays a Plains into a Sigarda's Age, sure. And for myself, I'm going to preserve my life total, play out the Beseiju into a Hierarch, and pass the turn. And with this Force of Vigor, at least the first one, I think we dump the Chord of Calling, just because Geist and Yawg is kind of a combo. Alright, there's a Gingerbread. They're attacking. Sure, we'll take it. I wonder if I just force it right now. Yeah, I think we're okay to force. Like, it is only 1 point of damage, but I don't think they have a land. So I think we're pretty safe to do that. Blooming Marsh was a good draw. So we'll have Yawg next turn, and then, I mean, if they don't really do anything, I think they're just dead, to be honest. Bring the beats, hit them for 3, and then we'll pass the turn after that. We'll see if they have anything in hand here. 1 drop, Esper Sentinel, sure. Alright, this is very unfortunate for my opponent. I'm sorry your hand lined up this way. There's Yawg. Mow down the Sentinel. We'll draw a card, and then we are going to swing for 4 this turn. And I could draw some more cards. I don't think we need to here. Our opponent only has 4 cards in hand. We can actually just hardcast the Force of Vigor if we need to, so... Alright, they're going to path. With the path on the stack, I am going to draw some cards here. And that was a good draw. Okay. Let that path happen. Yes. And we'll get... I think basic forest is fine. They're still stuck on 1 land. Really unfortunate for our opponent here. And we just drew into another Yawgmoth. We have the Verdant to fetch out our Dryad Arbor. And we also have Force of Vigor up here, which I probably wouldn't even use because they're not threatening any damage right now. So I'd probably just likely make a Grist and then have Force of Vigor after that. They're at 10 life. So they're on a 2-turn clock as it stands. They have 1 land in hand and they scoop. I apologize to my opponent. I know that's rough, getting stuck on 1 land like that on a mulligan to 6, but we got there. We're 1-0 in the Modern Challenge. Let's go. Hey yo, we're back. Round 2, Modern Challenge. We are up against Sandile. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. We are on the play. Let's go. 1-0. Opening 7, a little sketchy. I think this hand's a little too weak. It doesn't really do anything. We're going to mulligan down to 6. And our 6-card hand, I think, is a little bit better. It's slow, but I think it's a keep. So we'll keep this, and I'm going to get rid of the Evo. We'll see what our opponent's doing. Didn't reveal any... they didn't reveal a companion, and they kept their 7-card hand. We'll see turn 1 for our opponent. They lead on a Spire Bluff into a Dragon's Rage and pass the turn. Oh, they didn't pass the turn. They have a Bauble as well. So right off the bat, one of 2 decks that we're thinking could be either Murktide or it could be Breach. All right, we'll get our Overgrown Tomb and then move to our turn. Our Hapatra is likely going to die here. We drew into another Evo, which isn't great. We'll play out our Hapatra. That's our only move here. I mean, if they don't have a removal spell for it, that would be great, but that is unlikely, seeing as how they run a bajillion removal spells in their deck. It will take them off of a counter spell, though, if they kill the Hapatra, which I think they have to. So that will be... allow us to get the Grist in on our next turn. Okay, opponent is casting a Ragavan. So they want us to jump block the Ragavan here. I think they want us to jump block the Ragavan, and I am going to take them up on that offer. I think they think I value the Hapatra really highly, which I do. I like Hapatra, but if I don't jump block, it opens up them being able to bolt the Hapatra, which I do not want, so we're not gonna have that happen. We're gonna play out our Boseiju here, get our Grist in play, uptick the Grist, and then we'll pass the turn from here. So they also might have another Ragavan in hand, which might also be another reason why they would make that play, but I think the likely answer is they have a bolt, and that was the, they didn't count on me blocking there. So on our next turn, we don't have Yawg as of yet. We are short a black source. We'll see if we draw into it. We'll see if they tap out on this turn. They do not. And we have a Hierarch here. So I'm going to lead on an uptick with my Grist. I'm going to play out a Hierarch. We'll see if they decide to counter this here. Play out another Hierarch. And this one, they are going to counterspell. Sure. We'll see if they get up to 4 cards, 4 card types in the graveyard, and they do. So Dragon's Rage is now out of range here. They have 4 cards in hand. And I would imagine on their turn they're probably going to attack into Grist. I also imagine they're probably going to kill this Hierarch. They did not. Okay, so they're not representing Bolt, at least, based on that play. Here's an iteration. Really want our Hierarch to survive here. That would be very nice. And I actually think it's going to, because I think they attack the grist, and if they pull a bolt, they're going to bolt the grist. So, and if all they have is another channeler, we're actually in really good shape here, I think, because our Yawg will hit next turn, and we should be able to go to town here. So this is good. Yeah, I guess we didn't need to block with the Patra, because they're not, whoa, that is like best possible draw. We're gonna lead on an uptick here. That is very unfortunate for my opponent. All right, I'm gonna lead on a Yawg. I'm gonna attack with an insect. They fetch. This is strange that they're fetching here. Okay. I'm not exactly sure what they're fetching for. All right, we're gonna swing. And then if they block, I'm gonna endurance. And I think they're gonna be disappointed here. Okay, they did not block. And then from here, I'm gonna minus a Dragon's Rage. And I'm also gonna minus the other Dragon's Rage. And I think they're gonna be in rough shape from this point. So unless they have something like Subtlety, which they do not, they are losing both their creatures and their biggest resource, which is their graveyard here. All right, things are looking up. They have 4 cards in hand. We have our Yawg, we have our grist, we have another grist in our hand. Things are going well. It's not over yet though. 5 cards in hand. All right, they lead on a Shredder. Shredder into Bauble, so they'll have at least 3 card types in the graveyard. They have 3 cards in hand. They'll go up to 4, or they'll go up to 3 now that they cast the Steam Vents. Our best draw is an Undying Creature here. Okay, not an Undying Creature, not terrible though. Start by casting out our Innkeeper. We'll see if they counterspell this. We'll uptick our Grist. We'll gain a life. I think we're pretty far ahead at this point. Play out our Catacombs. I'm going to swing for 3 with the Yawg. And if they block here, we're just going to double minus the Shredder. Okay. We're going to draw a couple cards. We'll take the Shredder down a notch. Wall of Roots, not terrible. This is a 1-3. 0-2. Okay, and Chord is really good. And we can actually save that for their turn. So we'll hold off on that for a second here. So they have an 0-2 Shredder. They have 5 lands, 4 cards in hand. Like if they have a Murktide at this point, it's really not the end of the world. Like, and that's probably the most devastating card that they can possibly play. Okay, they have a Breach. Okay. So with that, I think I'm actually going to respond with a Fetch. And I'm going to look for my other Endurance here. We'll see if they have a counterspell. See if they counter this. They don't. I'll get Endurance number 2. Sorry, my opponent. And they scoop. Okay. That is why we run 2 Endurance. Card is busted. Especially given how popular Breach is right now. Endurance is just so good. Alright, we bring in 6 cards in this matchup. Let me just go back here. So, 2 Endurance, 2 Veil, 1 Ooze, and we're going to bring in the Thirst, just as an answer to early threats. And we are going to board out 3 Evos and 3 Hierarchs. So, in and out. And we'll submit. Game 2. Alright, they keep a 7-card hand. I think we mulliganed our first opener. This hand would be great if we had a green source, but we don't, so we cannot keep it. And this hand, oof, this is a little sketchy. We need a green source. We need a second land here. We're on the draw. This is really close. Really, really depending on the top of our deck with this hand. I don't want to go down to 5 though. I think we're going to keep this and hope to get lucky, get rid of our Blood Artist. Hope they don't have a Ragavan as well. If they do, that's going to be bad news. Okay, no 1-drop. That's good. Land? Okay, we got a second land. I think I'm going to lead by fetching Basic and playing out our bird. I expect this to get bolted here. Tale as old as time. Bolt the bird. Never gets old, you know? From 1993 tabletops to 2023, the bird continues to get bolted. Alright, so they lead Bauble on their turn. They look at our top card, and they're going to play out a Hearse. I thought it was going to be a Shredder, but a Hearse is fine. They have 4 cards in hand. They draw off their Bauble during my upkeep. Okay, that was a decent draw. Play out a Wall of Roots here, and we will pass the turn. So they'll eat my graveyard, end step with this Hearse. I feel like Hearse's stock has kind of dropped over the last month or so. It's not as scary as it used to be, or it used to seem. Alright, so they shock in their Steam Vent, so they're conveying to us that they have a counter spell. They play out a Dragon's Rage as well. Alright, so from here, I actually don't think we do anything. We're just going to sit and wait. A land would have been our best draw there, but right, so they draw a land, or they play a land, and they're going to pass the turn. I think we're just going to play the draw go game for a few turns. I would like another land to be able to chord for 2. This allows me to do it if the Hierarch makes it to their turn. I'm not so sure it's going to. All right, they're going to fetch. They have 3 card types now. They consider. They put a card on top. Okay. And they move to their turn. Cool. So depending on what they do, like if they try to play out a Murktide this turn, I think I probably Endurance during their turn, or even Chord. Ugh, excuse me. Like depending on how they use their mana this turn, I might need to draw out a counterspell from their hand to open up Yawgmoth or Endurance. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's going to be our cue here to chord. We're going to chord for 2. Okay, and they let it happen. Cool. Cool. And now the question is, what do we get? Geist isn't really that good. Wolf isn't really that good. Wall of Roots, I think, is probably our best card. So we'll get a Wall of Roots. Okay, and there's a Yawgmoth. From here, I think we lead on Hapatra. Okay, Hapatra sticks. Pass the turn. See what they do here. If they bolt Hapatra or something like that, we'll cast out our Endurance. Nope, nothing. The fact that they haven't hit Delirium yet is really, it's keeping us afloat. They have 4 cards in hand. And from here, I don't think we need to do anything. I could Endurance. They have a counter spell in hand, I know that much, but it's just a matter of do they have 2 counter spells. I think we play out the Endurance here. Okay, they have 4 card types now. See if they have another regular counter spell. Let's see it. They hesitate, and they do. Okay. Another counter spell to the graveyard. Alright, so now we're in a little bit of trouble. And the reason I'm not attacking with the Hapatra here is because they have the Hearse. It would just block my Hapatra and kill it. They have 2 cards in hand, they go up to 3. This feels like, okay, iteration. Not a Murktide. See what they get here. We still have a fine chance if we can sneak our Yawgmoth into play. Like this is far from over. They have 3 counterspells in the graveyard, so if they don't have another land drop, the chances of them having another counterspell is low. Okay, there's the Islet, so they do have their 3rd land drop. See if they tap down here. Okay, they heat our Hapatra, and they'll be able to draw a card and discard a card here. And they swing for 4, sure. So we're starting to run a little low on resources. They still have 2 mana up. Another Yawgmoth, not the best draw. Okay, we need to jam this. If they have counterspell number 4, they have it. They're thinking. Okay, Yawg sticks. And from here, I'm gonna play out a Yawgmoth. I wonder if they have a heat in hand. There's 1 heat in the graveyard at this point. And our best draw is to find ourselves like another Endurance, probably. This feels like a heat. Yes, okay. So we need to find ourselves a heat here, or an Endurance. And we haven't, how many Endurance? We've used 1 Endurance. All right, so from here, I think we start, dump down the Dragon's Rage. There's another Yawgmoth. Dump down that one. We still have a land drop this turn as well. We'll see if we can actually hit it. Okay, Dryad Arbor, not the best land, but it's something. Yeah, we definitely committed pretty hard there. They only have one card in hand. We'll see what it is. If it's something like a breach, we'll just lose. All right, they draw a card, they're up to 3 cards. They play a land down to 2 cards. Swing for 1, sure. Hearse's crew 2, okay, good to know. They pass the turn after an attack for 1. We're down to 6 life. From here, they have 2 cards in hand. I think we try to get our Yawg into play. We're just so far behind, I think we need to. We'll see what they have. They're fetching, this feels like a subtlety, in which case it will just be game if that's what it is. Fetch, basic, do you have a subtlety? Okay, dress down. So this is actually going to kill their Dragon's Rage. This is an interesting play. I'm not sure they know that. They have 2 cards in hand. I guess they have another heat, which is why they're doing this. It was a strange line there. Okay, they don't use the hearse, obviously, because we have the Yawgmoth. They have 3 cards in hand. All right, we're not out of this yet. I thought we were pretty dead, but it seems not. I do think we still need to find an Endurance, though. I think that's going to be the card that's going to be make or break for us. All right, there's a Martijc. We can deal with that as long as we can stick our Grist. And there's a Shredder number... Oh, Hearse number 2. That's fine. Okay, there are other Shredders still tiny. Not a big deal. So this opens up the window for them to attack with the Hearse here, which appears they do not take. This game is actually closer than I was expecting it to be. So I'll play out the Grist, minus the Grist. I think I'm going to dump the Dryad Arbor, actually. And then I'm going to go down to... Okay, sure. Crew the Hearse, that's fine. I'm going to go down to... No, I think I'm just going to stay here. I don't want to give the Shredder a chance to channel, so I think we're going to stay like this. They have 1 card in hand. Once again, drawing into an Endurance. That is our best card, I think, from this point forward. I guess Ooze would probably be pretty good too if they don't have a form of counter magic. 2 cards in hand for them. They're tapping manas. Feels like another Murktide here. We will be able to deal with this, but we are going to lose our Grist, which kind of sucks, but is what it is. We're also going to go down to 4 life in this interaction here. So I think how I'm going to play this, I think I'm going to be playing out the bird and then minusing. I wonder if we even need to proliferate this turn. I guess if they do have a removal spell, we'll just lose though. Yeah, so I'm going to play out the bird to start with. I'm going to proliferate with Yawgmoth. So we'll get down to 4. And I think we get rid of maybe the Yawgmoth. Uptick the Grist, downtick the Shredder. And then we'll minus our Grist. And I think I'll kill the Murktide here. Once again, they only have 1 card in hand. Okay, they eat the wolf appropriately. We're at 4 life. They crew the Hearse, sure. Those Hearse are getting pretty big. All right, and they can't crew them now, but if they have another creature, they will be able to. 2 cards in hand. A bajillion cards in their graveyard. Feels like they're just passing the turn. 4 life. Okay, we draw a Blooming Marsh, which is fine. I'm going to play out the Geist to start with. And I'm going to swing for 4. I wonder if I just swing for 2. Yeah, we'll swing for 2. I think I need something back to block one of the Hearses. We'll play a land, and then we'll pass the turn. They don't eat anything with the Hearse. They have 3 cards in hand. This is a very interesting game. I didn't think we were going to survive this long. We're still on the cusp here. Okay, they have 3 cards in hand, 13 life. Another Twilight Mirror, which actually isn't bad. Play out another Geist. We'll see what they do. All right, we're going to swing for 4. Put them down to 9. And I'm going to play out the Twilight Mirror. That's the last land I'm going to play. Any other land I draw from this point forward, I'm going to proliferate with them. And the reason I can do that is because I can use the Peat land to draw a card. So if I need to proliferate, I can. They have 3 cards in hand. They're up to 4 cards in hand. I'm not sure exactly what they're drawing. All right, they bolt me. Let's see if there's a second bolt here. Feels like it probably is. Yep, bolt, bolt. Okay, we lose. We'll concede. Game 3. That was close. I don't think we change anything sideboard-wise. I think we just go for it. Very interesting game. We got about 10 minutes left on the clock here, too. Okay, we are on the play. This is game 3, round 2. Let's go. Opening 7's a little slow, but I think this is a keep. And I'm going to lead Heath and pass the turn. And we didn't see a Blood Moon. They didn't put one into their graveyard. They didn't cast one. I don't know if they have any or not, but it was a strange sequence. We can deal with the Blood Moon too with our Boseiju. I think I'm actually going to get... I think we just get basic here. We have the Twilight Mirror. I think that's fine. We also have the Innkeeper, which will ramp our mana a little bit. Alright, that's not bad. But I think we make the mana efficient play here and play out our Innkeeper. Might have been right to play out the Wolf as well. Maybe I should have done that. I think I probably should have. They have 3 card types in their graveyard. They draw a card off of the bauble. They're up to 7 cards in hand. They play a Consider. I wonder if they're looking for a land here, because otherwise I don't know why you would make that play. They put a card on top. I think they were looking for a land there, which is good for us. Basic Island. They still only have 3 card types, so we'll be able to sneak our Grist into play here. Our Grist and our Yawgmoth. So I think we start with Grist. And I can afford to get basic Swamp once again because we have the Twilight Mirror. And then on our next turn, we can start eating their graveyard with the Ooze. They're pretty far behind right now. So I think they're going to have to be aggressive on their turn. Alright, so we're getting back a little life here. We'll see if they have another Consider, which it seems like they do. Yes. Okay, so I think there's a good chance our Grist dies on their turn. Okay, so they drew into another land as well. So they're going to swing into the Grist. They're going to bolt the Grist. And then we'll see if they do anything else. Unless they drew an Iteration to like look for their next land. Maybe that was the card they found. But if we can stick this Ooze, it's going to be really good. It's going to be very important. Okay, they play out a Hearse. That's interesting. Okay, swing on our Grist. Grist is down to 1. And that's it. Okay. Sure. We draw into an Endurance. So Endurance is really good. Alright, so we're going to uptick here, play out our land, and then we're going to swing for 3. And then when they fetch EOT, which I imagine they're going to, we're going to play out our Endurance. Okay, they did not. That was... So maybe that was a mistake on my part. Maybe I cast the Endurance main phase to play around that. The fact they didn't fetch there was a good move on their part. Smart. Endurance is going to force them to do something here though. Okay, they put a card on top. And I'm going to actually Endurance now. I'm going to take the opportunity. I'm not going to mess around. I'm not going to chance it not sticking. They will be able to fill up their graveyard fairly quickly, but I don't think we can take a chance. Of note, we do have the Boseiju for the Hearse as well. So if they do block with the Dragon's Rage on something like our Yawgmoth, we can deal with that. I imagine they kept probably like a Bolt on top or land. Their life total's getting a little sketchy. Getting a little low. They're at 13 life. I'm not going to fetch here. I'm going to save this. I'm going to lead on an uptick. And I think we're just going to swing with the team here. Just apply a lot of pressure. And see what they do. If they block the Yawgmoth, I'm going to kill the Hearse in response before they can eat it. Alright, they take a pretty big hit there. I'm going to play out our bird. Pass the turn. 4, 5, 6. So we are representing a lethal attack right now. I guess the card we need to be aware of is Brotherhood's End, which they are kind of representing here. So that's the card that will get us. So I guess playing out the bird was probably incorrect. But when they cast it, I'm going to get rid of the Hearse, and we'll still have lethal on the crackback. So we'll still be able to do what we want to do. Okay, Shredder. Okay, so they don't have Brotherhood's End. Fury. Okay. Let's see what their targets are here. Once again, representing a counter spell. I imagine they go 1 on the Innkeeper, Wolf, Bird, and Token. Or maybe Grist and Wolf. Grist and Innkeeper, maybe. This has been a very grindy match. Okay, they dump a Dress down. Shredder is a 2/4. Fury, let's see their targets. I think they have to get rid of the Grist, I would imagine. Alright, they hit 4 creatures here. Sure. Alright, they have to attack Grist now. Sure. So that's kind of annoying. Okay. Alright, so it's not over yet. Not over yet. It's not a bad draw there. I think I lead on the Geist. See if they use a counter spell here. And then we're going to swing. We're going to swing out with the team. So I was kind of anticipating them activating the Hearse. Okay, we're going to respond to this. Let them put a card into the graveyard. And we're going to dump the Hearse here. So we'll take 2, go down to 3. Unless they have a Bolt for our Endurance as well, that's going to stay alive. So I'll go down to 3. And now they need to cast something else on their turn, otherwise they're just dead. I'd have to imagine they probably have a Murktide in hand. This is a very close game. We haven't seen a Yawg yet, we haven't seen a Chord of Calling yet. Best card for them is probably a Murktide. Takes them off having to attack with the Dragon's Rage, which I think is pretty important. Paying costs, feels like a Murktide here. Yep. Alright, so they have a 5/5, sure. 3 mana up. Peatland. Okay, Peatland doesn't really change anything. I think we're just going to pass the turn. I think the momentum's starting to swing in their direction a little bit. Let's see what they can do. Okay, another Shredder. We need some form of instant speed, something or another. I think there you probably attack. You draw with the Peatland. Chord of Calling. Okay, so we have an instant, so that's really good. Foothills is fine. Play that out, we'll pass the turn. That represents a Dryad Arbor. I was hoping they would tap out there, they did not. Okay, they play an Iteration. See what this turns into. They keep a card on top. They get a Lightning Bolt, sure. Okay, and they bolt our Geist. So they're gonna get a bunch of triggers here. Representing Counterspell. I'm gonna use the Chord here. And the reason being is if I draw into something like Yawg or another Chord, we're going to be able to do some fun stuff. So yes, they counter it, that's expected. Okay, Bolt, there goes the Geist. And we're gonna fetch EOT. We'll get our Dryad Arbor. Okay, Twilight Mirror, not what we are looking for. We do have Ooze though, which is nice. And we're gonna start eating a bunch of things. Eat a Dragon's Rage. Going to eat my Geist. They have 5 card types, so we need to get rid of, I think we need to get rid of the Dress Down. And then the Hearse if they try to heat our Ooze. All right, we need our Ooze to just survive a few more turns here. We have 2.5 minutes on the clock as well, so we have to keep that in mind. All right, heat the Endurance, sure. Wonder if they have another heat. They do. All right, we have to keep a 5th card type out of the graveyard, and we did not. I think we're losing this one. This is rough. All right, we'll eat the Borrower. And from here, I think they got us. All right, this is another Murktide. We're gonna take a big hit here. 10-10 and an 8-8, so we're on a 2-turn clock here. I don't know if we have an out from here. I don't think so. Definitely not Overgrown Tomb. GG's to my opponent. Good luck in the next round. That was a grind. 1-1. We were the last match there. All right, what is up everybody? We are back. This is round 3 of the Modern Challenge. We are currently 1-1. We are on the draw against mBret. Opening 7 is definitely acceptable. We'll keep this. Nothing too crazy, but worth a keep. Opponent leads on a Hollow Fountain tapped. Could be any number of decks, we'll see. They do not have a Kahira, so it's likely not blue-white control. Could be Hammertime, but it would be weird that they didn't have a 1-drop. Could also be Breach. So we'll see. We'll see what turn 2 holds. And they go turn 2 plains and pass the turn. Little odd. They're not doing anything. End step dress down. This is weird. A little weird. Turn 2 will play out the marsh we just drew, and I think we'll play out our Wall of Roots and just build out our board a little bit here. I suppose it's possible they could be playing blue-white control and just not have Kahira. I mean, that makes the most sense with the turn 2 dress down, but I don't know. Alright, turn 3 Teferi, sure. We're going to bounce our Wall of Roots, I would imagine. Yes. Okay. No big deal there. We'll be able to swing down the Teferi here. So yeah, this feels like blue-white control. Play out our wall. Play our Geist. And kill Teferi. Cool. Alright, so they played out a Hall of Heliod's Generosity on their turn, which to me says that they are playing Leyline Binding, I'm guessing. I guess they can also recur the dress down. They plus, play a land, and pass the turn. So we're a little bit behind right now. Card I'm most concerned about is a board wipe. But I think we can't just let them, do their thing without consequence, so I think we have to do something here. So I'm going to swing into the Teferi for 1. There's a chance this bird dies on this attack, but I am aware of that. Okay, the ending the bird, sure. And I'm going to cast my Endurance now. We'll see if they counter this. Endurance not as good at sorcery speed. They are going to counter this. Sure. Yeah, they're setting up their binding mana here. 2 cards in hand. So now they have Solitude up. What did they exile off? So they exiled Solitude on their previous turn. We're going to yield until end step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is strange timing on this one. Okay. Sure. I think I'm going to use the mana to draw a card here. Okay, and that was a good draw. So I think now that they made that play, I think we're actually pretty far ahead. I'll play out my Dryad Arbor, play out my Wolf, play out my Grist. And I think I'm going to minus the Grist and kill the Teferi here. Cut them off of any future card advantage with that. And then if they swing in with the Solitude, we have a blocker. We have 2 blockers. And then we have Court up next turn, as long as they don't have another Teferi. So a weird sequence. I thought we were behind there, but now it feels like we're ahead. They have 2 cards in hand. Their mana's a little weird too. Like they only have like the ability to counter 1 card here. Right, they attack. We're gonna take that trade. See if they have like a board wipe or something. Otherwise it's just kind of a weird attack, right? Dress down, sure. Very odd use of their dress downs here. A second chord, not bad. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not really going to do too much. Turn off auto yields here, just in case they try to use Hall to bring back a dress down. I'm going to shuffle it back into their graveyard. Or shuffle it back into their library. Alright, so they're trying to use the Hall here to bring back another dress down. Okay, yeah, I'm going to chord. No, I'll just hold off. That's fine. Like, if that's how they want to spend their turns, sure. You can keep dress downing. Now from here, I'm going to look at my deck list. What's the best card for me to get in this position? I guess a Patra is probably pretty good. Or just an Endire. Just like a Geist. So maybe I do that. Chord for 2, get a Geist. We know one of their cards in hand. We know 1 card is dress down. Let's see what the other card is. And they dress down right now. Sure. Yeah, I'm just going to get a Geist here. Okay, a second Geist, plus my Grist, play out my second Geist, and now we have Yawg, and we're going to draw a bunch of cards. I don't think they can have a counterspell up, so I'm just going to refill my hand. They could have a Solitude, but they only have 1 more in the deck, so I think it's unlikely. They could have a Binding, which is definitely a possibility. a lot of lands, a lot of mana production here. Not the best cards, but it's fine. Okay. Alright, so if they can't do anything about this next turn, we should have the win. Leyline Binding, sure. We'll let that happen. We can deal with that with the Boseiju here. Alright, and now we can start getting aggressive. I'm going to plus the Grist. I'm going to swing for 5-9, I think. Okay, I do need to leave the Dried Arbor back, I think. I guess I don't need to because I can just play out a land. Yeah, so we'll swing for a nice chunk here. And from here, I'm going to use an Evo to get a Blood Artist. They're representing Counterspell here. And I'm going to let them make the move at this point. We'll see what they do. Untap, upkeep, draw, sure. Not really being pressured to do anything, so I'm not going to force this Boseiju right now. Plus my Grist. I'm going to swing with the team. And then if they do something, I'll use my Boseiju. I think we'll just play out the Blooming Marsh and pass the turn. They're at 4 life. We also have Grist Ultimate on our turn. I'm going to put Dress Down on top, I would imagine. Memory Deluge. I'm going to let that resolve. I'm going to Boseiju the Binding now. So if they don't have another Dress Down, they'll just lose from here. Sure, they Shark Typhoon. I don't think that's going to do it. And they take a damage off of their shark, their 0/0 shark dying. I didn't even think about that. Nice. All right, our opponent gets an island, and now they are dead. All right. There was a point in that game where I didn't think we were winning, but I think our opponent might have taken a questionable line at one point and opened up the opportunity. Playing that Solitude when they did was a little unusual. All right, so because they're running a suite of Dress Downs and Ley Lines, I think we're going to bring in 2 forces. Because they're running that recurring spell, and because Flash is particularly good in this matchup, we're going to bring in Endurances. I'm tempted to bring in the Magus as well, given their configuration. I think there's a lot we actually want here. Let me see. We do want the Thoughtseizes as well. Kind of want all of this stuff. We're definitely getting rid of Evos. I think we're getting rid of Walls as well. So there's 6 cards. Maybe we don't take the Magus. 2 Thoughtseize. I think Wolf is probably pretty bad. Maybe we only bring in 1 Force of Vigor. I think we probably shave 2 Wolves. And shave a bird, maybe? We'll go with that. Okay, game 2. Okay, I like our opening 7. We'll run with this. We have Endurance, which is a flash threat. We have our Grist, which is really strong. If they try to Binding, we have answers to that. Another land actually isn't bad, so we'll leave basic here. I guess I could fetch and shock, but maybe that was a better move, fetch shock. Alright, and they're fixing their mana for their bindings here. Alright, they can't have counterspell up, but I guess we can't resolve our Grist this turn. Alright, now we don't want any more lands. I think that's enough. Get a hit for 2 here. Opponent has 5 cards in hand. Next turn we have an instant speed threat with our Endurance. Oh, and they're stuck on 2 lands. That's not good for them. So we'll see if they play out the Binding here and now, and then if they don't, we'll get our Grist into play. Nice Cyclist Shark Typhoon. That is a sign of weakness, I would say. Not good for our opponent. Unfortunate circumstances. Turn 3, they still don't hit a land drop. Yeah, they're in pretty big trouble. And they don't have a Binding either, because they would have cast it if they did. Play a land, we'll uptick. Opponent is thinking. And we get a double hit as well. There goes our Might though, but that's okay. And we'll hit for 3. And they're on a pretty quick clock at this point. Like if they don't hit a land on this turn, I think they're just gonna lose. Weird. Yeah, timing on that Binding a little bit off there. Like you still have to answer the board here, so. Alright, there's their 3rd land. They fetch. This feels like a Teferi. They go down to 9. Temporary lockdown. Sure. Alright, so we're going to hardcast our force here. Sorry to my opponent. Plus here, play a land, get myself a Dryad Arbor. I'm gonna get a Yawgmoth here, and then I'll swing for 3. Our opponent is not in a good place. If they have a Solitude, it'd be fine if they used it at this point, but I mean, they're just so far behind. Next turn we can Grist Ultimate and kill them by Endurancing and then proliferating. Sanctifier. Yeah, that's not very good. Not very good. That's a little bit late. So I think we just kill them. Just proliferate, kill them. Swing with the team. We can't block Yawg. They have to block the Geist, and I'm going to proliferate and bump up the Geist here. Okay, yeah, you're just dead. I mean, they're dead anyway, but okay. Easy peasy. We're 2-1. Not bad. All right, everybody, we are back. This is round 4 of the Modern Challenge. We are currently 2-1 playing against TiOPatinhas. And I think we're getting paired up this round, so we're going to see how this goes. Let's jump in. And we are on the play. Okay, we'll take it. Opening 7, very acceptable. We will keep this. I think our opponent's 3-0 right now, and the reason I believe that is because I think they got paired against a friend playing Yawg last round, and they won. So I could be mistaken, but it could be really good for our breakers if we do win this. So we shall see. Today's challenge is a little bit of a smaller challenge as well. So X2 with decent breakers, there will be a couple that make it in. Our opponent's thinking. My dog Duke is joining us this round here. I don't know if you can see him in the background. All right, our opponent keeps their 7-card hand. Let's go. We're going to lead on our Boseiju here, cast out a bird, and pass the turn. Let's see what they are playing. Yield through their first turn. Okay, our opponent leads Arid Mesa. They fetch. There's a super qualifier going on right now at the same time, and I'm guessing our opponent is double queuing because they just took 4 minutes to make their first play. They get a Sacred Foundry, Shock, and Bolt our bird. Okay, our turn 2 play. Because we drew a land there, so we could try to get our Yawg into play next turn, or I could just play out the Geist and swing for 2. Or I could play out the Yawgmoth. So here it could be like Burn, it could be Prowess, it could be Breach. I think I just like getting the Geist in play. And then next turn playing out the Innkeeper and the Wolf. If this is Burn, this is not the right play. But if this is not Burn, this play works out. Oh, it was... Okay, yeah, my friend did play against Burn last round. So... Alright, so given that this is Burn, the Peat land, not the best land to have here, but right, they play a Guide, so the attack also not great. Taking a little extra damage than we would like to. See how this goes here. And a Birds of Paradise on top. So hopefully we can recoup a little bit of the damage lost with this Innkeeper here. We'll see what they do. They suspend a Rift Bolt. Okay. Yeah, so we should be able to recoup a little bit of this. We're going to lead on a fetch, get a basic forest, play out our Innkeeper, Innkeeper value, play out our birds, gain a life, play out our wolf, gain another life, and then we're going to swing for 2, putting our opponent down to 13. Alright, so our hope is that our bird survives here and we can get to our next turn. We'll see what happens. If they don't kill the Innkeeper... Okay, they do. So Innkeeper essentially gained us 5 life there. Very, very nice. Very good. Yeah, Innkeeper is a must answer. We'll see how they approach this turn. Feels like they're attacking. They are. We are going to most definitely block with our Young Wolf. We have an endurance on top. Not terrible. We have a pretty good clock going right now. Lava Spike is down to 14. And an Eidolon. Okay, so we can deal with this. So I think we lead with an attack for 2 with the Geist. Start there. Opponent chooses not to block. And then our Yawg gets around Geist, or gets around the Eidolon here, so pretty good. We'll see how they approach this turn. If they attack with both, I'll probably minus the Eidolon with the Geist, or maybe I'll minus the Guide, block the Guide, block the Geist, incentivize them to try to bolt the Yawgmoth. Like, the more damage they can point at my creatures, the better, so I think I would be okay with that trade-off. And they're going to be taking at least 2 off the Eidolon if I had to guess. Yawg puts them in a little bit of a situation. Okay, let's see what the Guide reveals in Ignoble. And from here, block the Eidolon, block the Guide. Okay, and we're going to minus the Guide here. So we'll draw our Ignoble, and we'll let this happen. So now if they want to get rid of my Yawgmoth, they need to use a burn spell to do so. Lightning Helix is a pretty good one. Okay, I think we're okay with that. Sure. They only have 2 cards in hand. They play a Swift Spear. Sure. We're okay with that as well. So we're going to lead with an attack for 5. They only have 1 card in hand. Play out our Hierarch, play out our Twilight Mirror, and then we have Endurance in hand, so we can block the Swift Spear here. And I'm going to shuffle my graveyard back so we can get the Innkeeper back in the deck. Alright, they play out a land, which is definitely not where they want to be. Searing Blaze, okay. We go down to 9. Alright, we'll Endurance those guys back into our library. Alright, Dried Arbor is our draw. We're going to lead by cracking the Peatland, just see what we can draw into. That's not bad. I don't think they really have much of an out from here. We'll swing for 5. Double triggers on the Hierarch. They go down to 4, play out our Dryad Arbor, and pass the turn. Alright, so they need to come up with basically 9 points of burn over the course of the next 2 turns, and they scoop. Alright, we're up a game. Up a game. So I'm happy I have Ooze in my sideboard today. Bring in our Endurances. I think we'll bring in the Thirst as well. Sideboarding out some number of Grists, a Yawg, and a Cord, and an Evo, I think. I think we're good with that. Yeah, just try to curve out early and often. We're on the draw this game. Alright, game 2. We are on the draw. We are playing against Burn. Up a game, opening 7, curves out pretty well, so I think we're going to keep this. Card we get punished for with a hand like this is definitely Eidolon. Okay, they're representing something. And here I think I'm going to lead. I don't really want to play my Beseiju, but I think I have to. I think I'm going to go Beseiju into Bird here. Okay, they bolt the Bird. I'm okay with that interaction. So that to me says they don't have a Searing Blaze, and they likely have an Eidolon here. Yes, okay, so that's not great for us with what our hand looks like, but... Okay, so we're going to play out the Tomb tapped. We're going to play out our Yawgmoth. It'll prevent 2 damage from attacks, so kind of got to do what you got to do. And best draw at this point is another land, so if we can pull a land off the top, that would be great. A land that doesn't deal us damage. A basic would be nice. Blood. What's the card called? Blooming Marsh. I don't know what the cards in my own deck are. Swing for 2 with the Eidolon. We're going to definitely jump block there. Alright, now we need to find our 3rd land. Not a Dryad Arbor, preferably. Land? Alright, we got there. That's good. Okay, and I think I'm just going to pass the turn. The reason being is post-board they will have something like Path to Exile in their deck. So I am not going to let them get that. This feels like a Lightning Helix or a Boros Charm. I wonder if they're going to target... Okay, they target us, put us down to 14. They have 3 cards left in hand. This Eidolon is going to get another 2 points of damage in when we cast this Endurance. I do think we're priced into casting this here. I don't think we can just pass. And we're not going to shuffle anything. We're at 11 life. Okay, that was a turn late. From here, so we can chord for our ooze. I feel like we just need to start attacking. We are in dangerous territory from a life standpoint though. But I think we have to be aggressive here. 11-11. We're going to get burned end of turn here. This is a Boros Charm. Okay, it's a Helix. So it definitely swings the equation in their favor a little bit. So we're effectively at 6 life. Alright, yeah, we're in big trouble. We're at 5 life, down to 3 with this Endurance that we have to cast. Yeah, Eidolon was the card this hand couldn't beat, and this is a Boros Charm, I'm guessing? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're dead. We are dead. Alright, some quick games. Going on to game 3. And I don't think we change anything. I think we keep exactly the same. Game 3, we are on the play, which is a big, big deal. Opening 7 does not have a 1-drop, but I think it's a keep. So as long as they don't go turn 1 Goblin Guide, I think this is okay. And they keep a 7-card hand. Lead on our Marsh, pass the turn. I'm hoping I can draw a land that doesn't deal me damage on turn 2 here, because I'd like to keep the Boseiju in hand, if last game was any indication as to why. Okay, Yawgmoth. I really don't want to deal myself damage here. I think we're going to play out our Boseiju, and we'll go Wall of Roots into our Yawgmoth here, and then we'll have a Yawg on our next turn. So my hope is their turn 2 is spent casting an Eidolon. I think that's best case scenario for us at this point. Okay, bolt this down to 17. If they have a hand where it's just like 7 burn spells, or just all burn spells, no creatures, we'll be in trouble. We're tapping 2 mana. Okay, Searing Blaze our wall. Okay, that's interesting. Just to deal us 3 damage. Not the best use of that card, but we're at 14. Alright, we need to get Yawg into play. We're at 13 life. Life total is dwindling already. They're up to 6 cards. So there's a little bit of tension in this matchup with Yawgmoth in that you don't really want to lose life, so you don't really want to activate the ability unless you have an Innkeeper or a Blood Artist. I think we just take the 3 here, and they suspend a Rift Bolt. We're at 10 life. Alright, a way to gain life would be really nice. That is not it. I think we might be in trouble here. I'm going to play out the Twilight Mirror. I'm going to attack for 3. This is their turn 4. Rift Bolt puts us down to 7. And now if they have like Boros Charm and a 3 damage spell, we'll just lose. Would really like to have another turn here. Okay, I'm going to play out the Endurance here, but I think they might respond and just kill us. I think there's a good chance that happens. To me, it feels like they're leaving up Skullcrack. So Spear. Post-combat. Okay. That we're okay with. We are definitely not shuffling anything here. Alright, deck. Way to gain life. It's not a way to gain life. Oof. I think we lead by drawing a card. Another Yawgmoth. Not great. I'm going to swing for 5. And then play out my Dryad Arbor and pass. So they can't block Yawg here, they have to block Endurance if they are going to block. For the reason of protection from humans. I can't imagine we're surviving another turn here. Yeah, we're down to 3. If all they have in hand is creatures, we got a shot, but if not, I think we're just dead. Play a land, 2 cards in hand. It's weird that they're thinking so much. Okay, there really isn't a difference between 3 life and 2 life here. So we're gonna go down to 2. Like all of the spells in their deck deal at least 2 damage, so, or 3 damage. If they have something like a Path to Exile, I guess that's a way that we could potentially, it would make the situation interesting, I would say, if one of the last 2 cards in their hand is Path to Exile. That's what it feels like. Okay, so from here, I think I sacrificed the Dryad Arbor to get rid of the Swift Spear. I think I have to, as we will be representing lethal. Like if their last card is, I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to come down to whatever they draw off the Fiery Islet. From here, 1, 2, 0, 2. I think I'm just going to proliferate from here, just to make sure. Yes, we'll get a land. We'll get a forest. That's fine. All right, we're at 1 life. We need them to miss on this Fiery Islet. We will attack. See what they got. Scary, very scary. All right, we need to dodge a 1-mana burn spell. It seems they're down to 2. Oh, brutal. What happens now? Is this a draw? Wow. It's a draw. I've never had that happen before. Okay, we are game 4. Who plays first now? That was crazy. I am on the play, which is very important. And I think this opening 7 is a keep. Not perfect, but acceptable. This might not be good enough. I don't know. This is borderline. Turn 1, I'm actually going to fetch basic and play out our Yawgmoth and pass the turn. They're on a 6-card hand. I like because we can deal with an Eidolon. We can deal with an Eidolon in a couple different ways here. Okay, this attack I'm actually going to take, and we'll block the next one from the Swift Spear. Dryad Arbor is not a good draw. I'm going to play out the Tomb tapped, play out a Yawgmoth, yield, and I think I'm just going to pass the turn. Do need to find ourselves a piece of business on our next turn here. Let's see if they're stuck on a 1-lander. They suspend Riftbolt. They are not on a 1-lander. 4 cards left in hand. Okay, from here, I think we're going to get rid of the Swift Spear. We'll swing in for 1, and I'm going to play out my Dryad Arbor. They fetch, they don't shock. Back to their turn, Riftbolt up, 4 cards in hand. We're going to go down to 15. Our clock is really slow. We need to draw something other than a land here. Otherwise, I think they're going to burn us out. Best case scenario is they have a couple creatures in hand. Skewer, we're down to 12. And they have 2 mana up. Back to our turn. Okay, Geist was a good draw. Play out our Geist. Good draw. It was an okay draw, I'd say. It was acceptable. I think, yeah, we attack for 4. Put them down to 14. Pass the turn. All right, we're down to 8. 2 cards in their hand. Once again, hoping one of them is a creature. That's a redraw for them. All right, so Endurance is a lethal threat on their next turn. So we're going to swing with everybody. Always the chance we get Deflecting Palmed here, and if we do, that might be the difference between winning and losing, but I don't think we can't afford to just sit back. All right, Endurance actually is not lethal. 3, 4, 5. It's 1 point short of lethal. They're up to 3 cards in hand. Bolt us. We're down to 5. Hoping one of their cards is a creature. Seems like it's not. Bolt us. We're down to 2. All right, let's see it. Land tapped. Cast our Endurance. They are thinking. I wonder if this is a Path to Exile. We're not going to shuffle anything. So once again, if they have something like Deflecting Palm, they'll just kill us here. Which is kind of what this feels like, but I don't think we can sit back. So this is 5, 6, puts them down to 3, and then we'll have lethal next turn. All right, let's see it. Is it a Deflecting Palm? Not a Deflecting Palm. They're at 3. What you got? Fingers crossed, not a burn spell. Let's see how lucky. They said insane, 3 draws, 3 lands. I got very lucky. Said 3 draws, 3 lands. All right, 3 and 1. All right, we are back. This is round 5, I think, of the Modern Challenge. We are currently 3 and 1. We are playing against Golden 91. On the draw, they mulligan to 6. Our opening 7 It's a little sketchy. I think we're gonna mulligan this. Our 6 is definitely sketchy as well, but on the draw, I think we're actually gonna keep this. Doesn't feel good, but I don't want to go down to 5. They have a Ledger Shredder as their, oh, I guess that's a Pioneer token. To me, I thought it was like a an indication that they're playing Martijc or something. They tricked me. Okay, they keep a 6-card hand. We're going to keep this and get rid of a wall, I think. Wall or a Geist? I think we get rid of a wall. See how this goes. Okay, they lead on turn 1 Plains into Sentinel. So given that start, we draw another wall. I think I'm actually going to lead Dryad Arbor here, which doesn't feel great, but it gives us the most options on turn 2 here. Okay, they go turn 2 Saga, 2 mana, Stoneforge, feels like a Cauldra. Cauldra or Hammer. See what they opt for. They go for Cauldra. Okay, so we're on the clock. Take a hit for 1. 19. Okay, Twilight Mirror, not a bad draw. So we'll have Yawg next turn. And as long as we can get there... Alright, so here comes Cauldra. It's going to hit for... I think we're going to take a hit for 4. As long as they can't hammer this thing, I'm just going to preserve my life total a little bit here. So an interaction between Cauldra and Undyers. The Undying trigger goes on top of the Cauldra trigger, so it doesn't get exiled, which is a nice little trick. And one I did not know when I first started playing this deck, so I always just assumed it got exiled. Okay, so that's actually a good draw as well. A card we really want to see is like a Chord of Calling, but we're really close to just winning. So I think we're going to attack for 2. Maybe not. Maybe I just... I mean, I imagine they're probably getting like a Shadow Spear here. Huh. Sentinel doesn't matter too much. Okay. I think we're going to wait for a second here. Now, as long as they can't hammer up this Germ, I think we're okay. That's what we need to dodge. Hammer on the Germ. There's a hammer. There's another Saga. This feels like a Paladin. Shadow Spear. 1, 2. Okay. This we can deal with. This I'm okay with. Attack. Okay, I think I'm going to block here. Maybe we need our mana. Alright, we'll just take a hit for 6. Preserve our mana. I can start throwing the walls in front of the this guy. So if we get another turn, we can kind of chump block it a little bit more. We just need something to get ourselves a Blood Artist, and then we should win from there. So as long as we can find that, that is not it. Okay, we can also start proliferating their board down. They have 2 cards in hand. I don't know if I actually want to lose life. Like, if they get a hammer onto this Germ, we're in big, big trouble. So what's the line? All right, I think I'm going to start with a wall. I'm going to minus the Dryad Arbor onto the Yawgmoth here. And then we'll go from there. They're thinking, I'm not sure what they're thinking about. Okay, there's our wall. There's another Yawgmoth, which is not what we want. Okay, they skill there. So that takes us off of drawing a card, which is kind of annoying. Once again, we just have to prevent this hammer from getting on the Germ token. That is the concern. Okay, I'm going to play out the Geist here. I'm going to draw a card. Okay, there we go. We got it. Make it easy. Make it easy. Done. Pay the 1. Yes. Okay. Get our Blood Artist and win from here. Save targets. Hopefully our opponent scoops. They might not, just because of time. We have quite a bit of life to drain them here. I also need to make sure I don't misclick. I'm going to do this a little slower than I normally would, just because I don't want to misclick. But assuming I don't, we will be up a game. got another wolf. All right, our opponent scoops. All right, sideboarding. Same thing we did earlier. We're going to bring in 3 Force of Vigor, 1 Might. We're going to shave 2 Grist, 1 Wall, 1 Endurance, and run with it. Okay, game 2. We are on the draw, opening 7. It's a little flooded, but I think this is a keep. A few too many lands, but what are you going to do, you know? All right, their hand's a little slow, which is good for us. Chord, not great, not bad. We're going to lead, fetch basic, and play out our Yawgmoth. I'm going to leave the Might back just in case they get a Cauldron again. I'll have them commit to that, and then I'll cast the Might from there. You can also nab their Saga with it. Okay, there's Stoneforge, and they get a Hammer. Okay. So because that happened like that, I wonder if they already have the Cauldron in hand. I think I'm just going to build out my board, play out the Hierarch, I'll play out the Might, and then I'll pass the turn. If we draw into a Yawg, we can cast it next turn. If we don't draw into Yawg, we can chord for it in 2 turns, potentially. This feels like a Cauldron. Or not. I guess they're adding mana with the Stoneforge, so this isn't a Cauldron, this is a Paladin. Makes sense. So they'll play out a Hammer, they'll draw a card, sure. Activating Yawgmoth, they're going to equip it to something, sure. That's fine. And here I wonder if we just get a Grist and just kill the Paladin. And then get Yawg next turn. Leaving up the Might. I think that might be the move. Evo away the wolf. Like, the Shadow Spear is the card we care about. And I'm just debating whether or not I want to cast out this bird or not. I think we get Grist. Like, we won't have Might up, but I think that's okay. -2, I'm going to get rid of the wolf, kill the Paladin, and then I'm going to play out this bird. The reason I'm playing out the bird, because it will give me, Yawg on our next turn. We'll see what they get with this Saga. I think they probably get the Shadow Spear, but we'll see if they go for that or if they get a Pithing Needle. Regardless, we can deal with it with the Might. They might just spend their turn attacking down the Grist with the Nexus as well. I think our best draw from here is probably just naturally drawing Yawgmoth too. They're up to 5 cards in hand. I imagine they're tapping this for mana. Okay, making a dude. I like that. I'm happy with that. It's a little bit of a sign of weakness to me. Gingerbrute, another Saga, and they're going to swing down my Grist from here, which we are perfectly fine with. Okay, we'll take a point. Moving on to our turn, we'll see what we draw here. Okay, second Chord of Calling, not terrible. This can get us Hapatra on our next turn. So I think we're just going to play this untapped. And we're going to take a little bit of a defensive stance. Haven't seen anything suggestive of a blue splash. Like, I don't think they have counter spells, so I think we'll be okay there. Second Nexus. Attack for 6. I'm going to block here. And we're going to chord for Yawg. Alright, see how this goes. I feel like Yawg is probably going to die. We'll dump the Brute. Okay, and they're discarding a card to march our Yawgmoth here. Because they discard a skill, march our Yawg, and then the Brute's gonna die, and we'll take 2. Okay, and from here, best case scenario is we draw like either a Force of Vigor or a creature. They only have 2 cards in hand. I think we're priced into probably getting rid of this Saga with the Might. Another land, not what we wanted. Okay. I think we just play out a Forest, pass the turn. I'm guessing their Saga probably gets them a Shadow Spear, maybe? Okay, they're making another construct, which is fine. They get a Pithing Needle, also okay. They name Yawgmoth, sure. Play a land, they have 2 cards in hand. We're gonna take a hit for 5. Go down to 9 here. Okay, we need them not to have another removal spell. So we'll see. Yawg feels like they're F6'd. Okay, so we're okay here. So if they have another blacksmith skill, that would be bad as well. So I think we wait just a moment. I'm gonna use the Might as a chump blocker. Okay, this is interesting. Let's see what they put down. A Nettle Cyst. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of the needle now. Now if they have another blacksmith skill, we're in trouble. They do not. Okay, so we're okay. We got some blockers, we can proliferate. As long as they don't have Shadow Spear, we're okay. On thin ice. Wasn't expecting that one. Okay, we're gonna do some things in response to that. Kinda need to find a Force of Vigor here. Our opponent is thinking. Get our Dryad Arbor. Okay, Verdant Catacombs, not great. So this is pretty close to just lethal at this point. There's a Chord. If we drew that a card earlier, that would have been really good, but we didn't. Alright. Chord. Chord for 1. Get ourselves a Yawgmoth here. I tapped wrong. That was a mistake. I did not leave up mana to be able to proliferate here, which is a big, big mistake. That's gonna hurt. That might cost me the game. I think we're probably losing this game anyway, but that takes me off of one of my outs here. Yes, that was a big mistake. And I probably should have minus the construct. Not good. Ignoble. Okay, I need to go one more here. Okay, yeah, we're just dead. That was not good. Okay, game 3. I think our configuration is okay. I wonder, I mean, they're on like a mono white version. I don't think we need to bring in Magus. I think this looks okay. I think we'll go with it. It's a favored matchup. We should be okay. All right, we are on to game 3. We are on the play against Hammertime. I like our opening 7. We're gonna keep this. Quite a bit of interaction here, which is nice. Okay, we're gonna lead on playing out of Besage, preserve our life total a little bit, play out our birds, pass the turn. Our best draw from here is an Undying Creature or a Hapatra. Okay, turn 1, Springleaf. Let's see if they have a 0-drop. Feels like they do, yes. Okay, that's a pretty powerful turn 1 play. Turn 2, okay, we got our Undying, and that was actually the best possible. Okay, so the hope here is that they don't just try to kill us outright and force us to use our Force of Vigor. If they don't, we will be in a really good position. Okay, they animate their Yawgmoth, so this feels like they're going to try to kill us. Okay, no blocks. Let's see it. Okay, from here, I'm going to, I think I get rid of the Aid and the Drum, and we'll take 1 Infect. I did really want that that evolution, but what are you gonna do? You gotta stay alive, you know? Alright, next turn. Okay, it's a pretty good draw. Not too shabby. And this actually lets us leave our Besage up as well. I wonder if my opponent just typed something either in Spanish or in Portuguese, but regardless of what they typed, I don't think it was very nice. They scooped something about muertos, which I know is, yeah, we're 4-1. Let's go. All right, Modern Challenge, we are back. We are X-1 right now. This is round 6. Everything from this point forward is a must win for us to top 8 this thing. We are on the play against Corrado. Let's go. All right, they reveal a Gigantha on the other side. Our opening 7 is a little mana light, so we're going to be mulliganing this one. And our 6 is an acceptable hand, so we're gonna keep our 6. They keep their 7, and I think on our 6 we'll keep, and I think we're gonna get rid of the Blood Artist. It's kind of the most narrow card out of everything we're working with. Turn 1, I'm going to lead Catacombs, fetch for a basic. We're going to play out our bird here, and then pass the turn. Basic Forest, bird. As I said, pass the turn. Okay, their turn 1. See what they're playing. A couple different options. They lead on a Mesa. Could be Breach, possibly. Okay, into a Sig. Oh, okay, so this is likely Prowess, maybe? Maybe Prowess? Probably Breach. That's my guess. We'll see if they play a Bauble. They're thinking about it. Okay, they do play a Bauble. So this is, say, about 90% likely that this is Breach. All right, so Ragavan, not too big of a deal. Our turn 2, that was actually a really good draw. Turn 2, we're going to play out our Wall of Roots. And then I think we're going to go Innkeeper. And I think we're also going to play out our Yawgmoth here. And then hopefully on our next turn, we can get ourselves a Yawgmoth. So they untap Sacred Foundry in play. 1 mana. It feels like there's going to be a prismatic ending here. Maybe for our wolf. Sure. That is fine. Spire Bluff Canal. They have 3 card types in the graveyard. And they do not attack. Okay, so I don't know that they necessarily have main deck interaction per se. I anticipate they have like a Bolt, but I don't think they actually have like Spell Pierce or anything. But I still think we're going to play around it just in case. So I'm going to play out my Tomb. I'll lose 2. And then from here, I'm going to Evo my Innkeeper and get myself a Yawg. And I'm not going to dump the Ragavan. It will put a 4th card type into their graveyard. Okay, so there is Spell Pierce in the deck, so I'm glad I played around it. And they do have 4 card types in the graveyard now, so very, very important to keep that on our radar. This might be the Breach deck that also kind of does... it's like a fair Breach deck without the combo. Okay, there's another Spell Pierce into the graveyard. They have 3 cards in hand. Okay, we're going to be able to untap on our turn, which is really good. If we can find an Undying creature here, we will be off to the races. Right on cue. Right where we want it. All right, let's do it. Card draw is online. All right, so we're going to sacrifice our bird to the Geist. All right, we just drew our 2nd Geist here. So this is close to lethal if we can find a way to get our Blood Artist. That's actually a really good draw too. Okay, yeah, you get an extra card there. That's fine. Okay, they discard a Ledger Shredder off their looting effect. This is our turn 4. We're going to draw a couple of cards here. Not too concerned about our life total as it stands. If we can just find something like a Chord, we'll just win. I don't think we've made a land drop yet this turn either. There's our land. I'm going to draw 1 or 2 more. Alright, I'll go down to 10. Okay, and we'll stop there. And I don't love playing out the peat land. I might just play the Swamp and pass the turn and leave up Endurance. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll play it like that. See how they approach their turn here. Okay, lead on a Bauble, Surveil, sure. Put Scalding Tarn into their graveyard. 2nd card for turn, they are playing a Breach. And we're going to deal with this with our Endurance. Another Bauble, Shredder Trigger, cast our Endurance. Okay, so this is going to kill the Dragon's Rage. And now they have a Breach with pretty much nothing going. Sacrifice the Bauble, look at our top card. Unless they can get 2 more cards into their graveyard, they can't really do anything with the Breach. Okay, and they just scoop. I guess the top card was pretty good. Alright, game 2. We're going to bring in our Endurance, Ooze, Might. I think we're going to bring in our Blood Chief's Thirst. I'm wondering if I just treat this like Murktide, or if I treat this... It's kind of like an in-between sort of matchup. I don't know what their artifact package looks like, so actually somebody sent me this deck list yesterday. I'm going to take a look at it. Okay, so they don't have Urza Saga. They don't really have much in terms of counter magic outside of Spell Pierce. So I think we just run with this, and then I'm gonna shave on Evos, at least one, maybe two. Shave on Hierarchs. Shave a Geist on the draw. They do have Teferi, which is one of the reasons I like Geist, but maybe Hapatra is just like medium. I feel like Hapatra is not great. And one more. Third Hierarch. Let's go with that. Okay, opening 7. Our opponent mulligans to 6. Our opener, I think, is a little weak. I feel like we need to mulligan this. Doesn't really do anything. Okay, I like our 6-card hand better. We're going to keep this. And I think we're going to get rid of a bird. And see how this goes. They're on a 5-card hand. Obviously, we need a black source here. If they have like a turn 1 Ragavan, that would be unfortunate. Fetch, Shock, Dragon's Rage. Okay. I would prefer that than a Ragavan. We only have 3 cards in hand right now. There's our black source. I'll play out our birds with the hope of getting our Grist online next turn. Although my expectations in terms of that happening are low. Okay, bolt the bird. We've seen that a couple of times today. Pretty standard line of play. They keep a card on top. I wonder if they only have 1 land. They have 3 cards in hand. We'll see. Alright, and they did not play a land, so that is not good for them. We're going to play out our wall, and we're going to play out our might here as well. And pass the turn. There's their second land. They shock it in. No attacks here. Interesting. I wonder what they're representing with 2 mana up. I think I'm just going to play my land, and maybe I attack here. I think I can attack. I think I'm okay with that. Let's see if they want to make that trade. They don't. Okay, so the reason I'm willing to do that is because I have the Endurance in hand. Like, the card we care about is Breach, and with Endurance in hand, it kind of makes that okay. Okay, nothing there. They have 4 cards in hand. Untap, draw, Blooming Marsh. So here I can play Grist and Marsh, or Grist and Endurance, so I'll swing. Still no block from them. I'm going to play out the Peatland. We'll take 1 here, we'll cast our Grist. As long as my Wall of Roots survives, we'll have Endurance on their turn as well if we need it. I'll plus here. Okay, Hollowed Moonlight. It was a card I was aware of. The list that I just looked at while I was sideboarding did have Hollowed Moonlight in it, so on my radar. Okay, we don't get the token off the Grist, which is fine. We can deal. They have 2 cards in hand, or 5 cards in hand, 2 card types in graveyard. This is an iteration most likely. Or a Shredder. Okay, we're okay with a Shredder. Play out a Bauble. Feels like they're trying to get to our Grist here. But they're going to be a little disappointed. If they put a creature... No, they do not hit the 4th card type. 3 card types. No attacks here. They shock. Okay, and I think we're just going to fetch a Tomb, tapped, and then we'll go to our turn. They're up to 3 cards with the Bauble. We draw a Yawgmoth, which isn't terrible. We're going to uptick our Grist. Play out a Yawgmoth, play out our Marsh, and then pass the turn. We have a draw with this Peatland, and we also have our Endurance up. So we're protected here, somewhat. Card that was in their sideboard that I did notice, this feels like an iteration. Card that was in their sideboard is Mystical Dispute, most likely. So I do need to keep that in mind. Card 1, card 2. Lots of triggers here. I have to imagine they're probably putting a creature into the graveyard. Okay, so there's the 4th card type. Hopefully they don't discard. Okay. Okay, so they have 3 cards in hand. But once again, we can deal with this. So our Grist is not dying here. Play out our Endurance, dump their graveyard, and then from here, we'll block there, and we'll block there, I think. Keep our Grist alive. Maybe I block with the Insect token there. Maybe that's a better move. All right, we're really close to lethal at this point. Let me actually start by drawing a card with the peatland. Okay, I think that just gives us lethal. So we're going to minus our grist. They'll get hit for 2. So go down to 8, 3, 6. Yeah, we have lethal here. They brought in Flusterstorm against us. A little weird. Unless they have a 0 mana spell that can deal with multiples of our threats, we got this one. All right, so grist, sacrifice a creature, Blood Artist trigger, kill the Shredder, and then we have lethal attacks here. Don't even need a Yawgmoth. Move to combat, swing with everybody. Lethal, we got there. We are 5-1. Let's go. All right. All right. On the cusp. All right, everybody. We are back. It is round 7 of our Modern Challenge. We are currently 5-1, playing against xfile, and we are on the play. Let's go. Got some good momentum here. Let's see if we can keep it going. All right, Kahira has been revealed. So that tells us likely one of 2 decks. Okay. Opening 7, I think we're going to keep this. It's got lands and spells. Not ideal, but I think it's a keep. They keep a 7-card hand. Play out our foothills and pass the turn to start. Okay, they lead on a Hollowed Fountain. And right off the bat, it feels like this is likely control, but we will see. Okay, another fetch land, not what we wanted. Turn 2, I'm going to play out the Geist. Just start to get some chip damage in. Then we'll pass the turn from there. All right, their turn 2. They untap, play out a Misty, fetch, basic island into a Chalice on 1. I am very okay with that. We're going to get our Yawg into play this turn. Ooh, maybe not. Maybe go Grist on turn 2. That was a really good draw. I think I'm going to go into Grist here. The fact that we're on the play in this matchup is really good for us. I'm going to get a basic Swamp and play out our Grist. Thinking about it, I wonder if they have a Subtlety in hand. Feels like that might be the case. Okay, Grist resolves. We'll uptick our Grist and then pass from there. All right, so we're starting to establish a little bit of pressure here. Okay, they have 2 mana untapped, 6 cards in hand, and we have just drawn a Yawgmoth. So we're like a turn off here. I'm going to lead on an Evo. We'll see if they have a counter spell for this one. Okay, Evo resolves. Play out a land. I'm going to plus my Grist. Fetch. And I'm going to play my Yawgmoth as well. Oh, I forgot about that. Damn. Duh. That was stupid. Okay. Chalice did something. We'll swing for 4. Yeah, that was really stupid. That was dumb. Oops. Okay, 2 manas feels like a dress down. It is a dress down. Okay, we're going to draw a bunch of cards here. Okay, so we got a full grip again. They have a dress down. See if they pull another land to be able to verdict on this turn. Like, they played the Colonnade out tapped. Okay, so they have a verdict. They'll be able to wipe our board, but we will be able to get another Yawg in play. Okay, cool. That's fine. We'll be able to rebuild pretty quickly here. Okay, I'm not going to do the same thing I did last time. How many creatures do we have in our graveyard? I already have 5. We can almost just kill them with our Grist ultimate here. We're actually very close to that. Play out a Wall of Roots, and then we're going to play out our Yawg again. Yawg number 2. And they're thinking once more. Once again, I think they have a Subtlety in hand. I think that's what they're contemplating. Here's 4. Is this another verdict? It is. Okay. So we'll draw 2 more cards. Technically, I should have added a mana there before I sacrificed, but I think that's okay. So if we draw a 1-drop, we'll just win here. Okay, so we got the win. I wonder if they get the idea of what's going on here. Okay, Subtlety. Okay. They're at two cards. Put the wolf on the bottom. I still think I'm going to minus the Grist here. put them down to 1 life. Play out a Blood Artist, Marsh tapped, and pass the turn. Maybe that was a mistake the way I did that, but they can't fetch now. They have 2 cards in hand, so let's see what they got. Yeah, so I was correct in assuming that they had a... okay, and that should be game. Plus here. I guess technically I should have done the Innkeeper first. Okay, and we got there. Game 1. Alright, let's do it. Game 2. Playing against blue-white control for the 2nd time today. We're going to bring in Veil of Summer, going to bring in our Might, going to bring in our Thought Seizes. And I think we'll bring in 1 Force of Vigor. It is likely that they might not have Leyline Binding. They didn't really represent it that game. Maybe we hedge against it though. We're going to board out all of our Evos for sure. I think we're going to board out all of our Wall of Roots. And then a Yawgmoth or 2. And we'll go with that. We'll see. We'll see. I might not need the Force of Vigor, but we'll see. Let's go. Let's see what we got. So we're on the draw now. A little bit more difficult on the draw. I think our opponent mulliganed pretty aggressively that game. No, they kept a 7-card hand. Never mind. Okay, opening 7, I think this is acceptable. It's a little slow, but got some pretty good interaction to deal with whatever they do. Okay, turn 1, I'm going to lead on the Thoughtseize, just because we don't really have a better way to use our mana here. Okay, Subtlety, Teferi, Rest in Peace, Hallowed Moonlight. Teferi is definitely the most problematic card. Subtlety's annoying, but it's card advantage for us. I think we get rid of the Teferi. We can deal with the Rest in Peace. And just hope they don't get too much tempo off of the Subtlety. Best draw for us here is probably like a Wall of Roots. Okay, that we expected. Rest in Peace. And they played out their island. So we know 3 of their cards. Not a Wall of Roots. Okay, from here, I think I'm going to fetch Basic. I mean, it's unlikely that they can kill this Might at instant speed, so I think I might even fetch a Tomb. We'll see. There's the Caverns. We knew about that. 3. And they put their Kahira into hand. Yield into the end step. We'll fetch another Tomb here. And we're going to start bringing the beats with our... oh, okay. I'm fine with that. Okay. So they're really valuing this Rest in Peace right now. They just 2-for-1 themselves over a little bug. Alright, so they have 2 knowns and 1 unknown in hand. And that was pretty good. I'm just going to main phase this right now. Play out the Endurance. And we'll pass the turn. So from here, I think our best draw is a 3-drop. Probably like a Grist, as long as they don't have another land drop, which it appears they don't. Force of Vigor, not bad either. Alright, so we're going to lead with an attack, and then I'm going to play out my Yawgmoth. We'll see if they 2-for-1 themselves with this one. And if they do, I think we're pretty far ahead. I guess there's always the chance they drew into a counter spell as well. There's our Yawg. Hallowed Moonlight. I think they're looking for a blue card. Alright, Yawg sticks. Blue card or a land drop. Alright, they hit their land drop. Deserted Beach. Wasn't expecting that one. Alright, our 3rd Yawgmoth is not really what we want. I think we're okay with it. See if they flash in the Subtlety here. They don't. Okay. They're at 11 life. 1, 2. Dress down. Okay, I'm okay with that. We have Force of Vigor to protect. I mean, Force of Vigor, we can knock out both of those and at least draw a card off of our Yawgmoth, so... this is 5 mana. Okay, there's another Teferi. Sure. We'll see if they tuck the Yawg. No, they go up to 5. Okay, so we will be able to kill this Teferi. Unless they have, like, Solitude white card. Okay. So they stack their triggers correctly, and for that reason, I'm actually going to dump these now. Four cards in hand, we know one of them. 1, 2, their 2nd dress down, sure. Still 4 cards. We will be able to get rid of the Teferi as long as they don't have a Solitude. Hopefully they do not. They don't. Okay, so yeah, that early game getting rid of the Solitude to get rid of our Haywire Might seemed a little overzealous, I would say. They do have 5 cards in hand. We're a little short on resources. The fact we have a couple of Yawgmoths is fine, but... Alright, yeah, we got too many Yawgmoths. We are flooding on Yawgmoth. Attack for 5, see what they do here. Okay, yeah, we're A-okay with that. We got more where that came from. Plenty more. If they drop a counter spell here, I am perfectly fine with that as well. That would be really good for us. If they drop their Subtlety for this, that would be really good as well. Okay, we're good. We are good. So our best draw from here is just like a green creature, I think. An Undire would be really good. It's 5 mana. Is this another Teferi? Okay, a Solitude. Okay, we're okay with that. Fine. We have, once again, a lot more where that came from. Okay, so that represents a creature. I'm going to lead with an attack here. They don't block. Yawgmoth number 100. We're going to fetch right now. Alright, so we're representing lethal on board. They have 3 cards. We know about the Subtlety. I'm guessing they don't have another blue card because I think they would have used that there. They go down to 4 life. Fetch, shock down to 2. This is an Omnath? Okay, I know what this is. Sure, ending. Yeah, you can do that. That's fine. We'll go down to 14. They have 2 cards in hand. And we just drew a Grist, which is also really good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put them down to 1. And we got Yawg into Veil. So if they have a counterspell, we can deal with it. If they have this Subtlety, we'll just put the Yawg back on top. Okay, Hallowed Moonlight, sure. This is our 4th Yawgmoth. They've dealt with 3 up to this point. Okay, Yawg resolves. Let's keep it going. So attack, we're gonna block here. They're in it for the life gain, which is reasonable. It feels like they have a Supreme Verdict, but we'll draw a couple of cards off that. Okay. A Grist and a Cord. Okay, that's fine. Drawing a land here wouldn't be a bad thing, so we can go Grist into Grist. But thinking about the Subtlety here. We are on a little bit of a clock with this Colonnade, but if this Grist sticks, they're going to need to attack into it. Okay, Grist is in play. We'll uptick our Grist. Play out our bird here. This gives us a blocker for the Colonnade. Okay, and they Subtlety that onto the... We'll put that on the bottom. What did they discard? Discarded another Subtlety. Bottom that, that's fine. So their game plan here is to attack the Colonnade and hit the Grist, but they don't know we have another Grist in hand, so not great for them. All right, Colonnade, sure. We anticipated this. Grist to the graveyard. Moving to our turn. They have 1 card in hand. Okay, Yawgmoth, not terrible. Play out our Grist. They have a counterspell. We're going to be able to veil it. We drew another Grist. My opponent, I am sorry. Uptick here. Yawgmoth. And we'll swing down to 3. And then on their next turn, depending on what they draw, they need like Dress Down into Verdict. And if they don't have that, we'll just be able to swing and then we can court for like a Blood Artist. Their out from here is having drawn like a Subtlety. That's their, or a Solitude, I mean. That's their best draw. Okay, so I think I lead with this Hierarch and then attack with the team. And if their line is like Colonnade, okay, it's this. That was a good draw. That was a very good draw. Okay, Solitude there. I wonder if we can still kill from here. Turn off auto yields. Okay, we're gonna Cord. I'm gonna get Blood Artist here. And then I think we're gonna sacrifice, we have 5 creatures in the graveyard. So So you put them down to 2. They attack with Colonnade. Okay, I think we're gonna minus here. Once again, they're kind of priced into colonnading down our grist. Okay, there it is. So depending on what they drew, we've got outs here. Oh my gosh, so brutal. We just keep coming, keep coming. See if they drew a counter spell. They did not. I'm just gonna sacrifice trigger. Okay, and we got there. 6 and 1. We're in the top 8. Let's go. All right, here we are. We are in the top 8. This is, I guess, round 8, technically. 6 and 1. We are playing against Martijc. We are on the draw, and our opening 7 is borderline, but I think this is a keep. Our opponent mulligans to 6 cards. See what we're up against here. Okay, our opponent starts out. They lead basic planes into Sentinel. All right, so this looks like Hammertime for the 3rd time today. They have 4 cards left in hand. Okay, drawing into a grist, not terrible, not great either. Play out our Hierarch, pass the turn. Hopefully they don't have turn 2 hammer, but I guess if they do, we can grist it down on our following turn. So we do have outs to that. Okay, they swing for 1, we're going down to 19. We have 4 cards in hand. Best draw from here is a way to get Yawgmoth, which that is not. Most mana efficient play is just getting grist online, so I think that's the move here. And I think I shock down to 17, and then yeah, just get grist out. Alright, dumped a Yawgmoth. That's unfortunate. We would have liked to have drawn that. Had I known that was on top, I would have played that one a little bit differently, but obviously there's no way for us to know that. They tick up their Saga to 2, play out a basic plains, play out a Mem Knight, and this feels like maybe a Paladin. Okay, no Paladin. Okay, seems their hand's a little weak. Let's see what they do on their next turn. Cord is a really, really good draw. That is really good. Alright, we're going to uptick our grist to start with. We're going to get a play out our Yawgmoth, and then I think we'll play out our Peatland, and then next turn we'll get ourselves Yawgmoth. I'm not going to attack for 2 here just because they have the Saga activation up, so we do need to play around that. Okay, nothing else here, pass the turn. And we're 1 mana off right now of casting or just courting for a Yawg, but that's okay. Construct, I imagine they're probably going to get Shadow Spear here. We'll see if they make a second Construct token as well. If they don't have anything going on in their hand, that would make sense. And they're just tapping for mana here. Okay, there's the Shadow Spear as predicted. Equip. Okay, they have a Paladin. Okay, so this is a little scary. There's a hammer. Alright, are we just dead at this point? That's the question. They have another hammer. 15, 16, put us down to 2. 17. It's a lot of damage. We're going to soak up some of it, but okay. So from here, play out our Endurance. Okay, we're not going to shuffle anything. And in terms of blocks, I think we block. So if we just block with the Endurance, that puts us down to 3 life, which is pretty low. They're thinking they have 1 card in hand. So this puts us down to 3 life. But I think this is the way we have to approach it. They're thinking. They have a blacksmith skill here, it'll put us down to 1, and they do. Alright, so we're at 1 life. So this is pretty bad for us. We'll see where they move the hammer, or if they do, they don't. Okay, Wall of Roots. Okay, so we do need to get rid of this Paladin. I wonder what our outs are here. We need to get rid of the Paladin. We need to get rid of the Construct. Yeah, we need to dump both of those. And they have 0 cards in hand. I don't know if we can do everything. Can't use the Peatland. Alright, to start with, we need to minus this grist. We're going to get rid of the Paladin to start with. We can draw into something like a Besaju, which will also save us. I can also tutor for another Grist, kill this thing, and then they have 3 1/1s, but I just need to be able to block the 1/1s. That's my concern. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. I wonder if I need to just like draw a card with the peatland and find a Besaju and get lucky. That feels like the line. I feel like I might be missing something, but I feel like that's probably what I need to do. Besaju. All right, another chord. Don't think that that's good enough. So I can play out the wall, chord for an Innkeeper, use the mana to go up to 2 with the Hierarch, and then I don't think I can do anything from there. I think we just lose. Okay. Yeah, moving on. Game 2. All right. Kind of how we've been boarding this whole time. We'll board out an Endurance, 2 Grist, and a Wall of Roots. Let's give it a go. We just needed a little bit more life to work with there, and then we would have been able to do something, but taking us down to 1 with that blacksmith skill, it was the right play, I think, so it was a good play on our opponent's part. Okay, game 2, let's see how this goes. Opening 7, we can ramp into a Yawg pretty quickly. I think this is a keep. It's a little flooded, but I think we have to keep this. If we can get ourselves a turn 3 Yawg, they mulligan to 6. Hope is that our Hierarch survives. If it doesn't, we're going to be in big trouble. Okay, they keep their 6-card hand. We're going to lead Forest into our Hierarch and pass the turn here. All right, their turn 1. Let's see what they're working with. Plains into Sigarda's Aid. All right, no 0-drop, which is good. We drew into a Besaju, which is also good. We're going to play out our Foothills, and I'm just going to attack, and we'll pass turn from there. So with our Besaju, we have an answer to this Sigarda's Aid, which is good. Their turn 2. Another snow-covered plains, mismatching of note. 2 mana, Stoneforge, sure. And they get Cauldron. All right, so we're going to kill this Stoneforge. Get ourselves a Dryad Arbor here. Untap. Second Besaju, not really what we were looking for, but I guess we'll take it. Play out our Yawg. We'll kill this Stoneforge. We have to hope that they don't have an answer for this Yawg. But I guess like we rebuilt pretty well there, so that's okay. We're like a turn off of a Hapatra. Like we need 2 more turns to get there. Our turn and then following up again on their turn, so. All right, Hushbringer's fine. Ornithopter's fine. Drawing Wall of Roots is actually really good too because it lets us leave up a Besaju on their turn. They did miss a land drop though, so of note, that's also a pretty good draw. I'm gonna lead on Wall of Roots. They're thinking. Play out a land here. And I think I'm gonna attack with this Yawgmoth. No, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. That was hasty. That takes me off chord. So that wasn't good. That was a mistake. Ugh. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me here. Attack with the Hushbringer, sure. No blocks. See if they have a hammer. Nothing. Felt like they might have. They were playing around Force of Vigor there, I would imagine. We know they have a Cauldron in hand. Okay, here I'm gonna fetch. Okay, and now we can get ourselves a Patra and then just start taking over from here. Play out a land. Chord for 2. Okay, they play out a hammer, sure. That's fine. Okay, we're gonna pass the turn here. And then during their upkeep, I'm gonna -1 this Hushbringer. All right, get ourselves a little Patra token, and we'll give ourselves another one here. Might not a bad draw, gives us a little bit of life. And from here, I'm gonna Besaju the hammer. Does it give them an extra mana, but I want to use my mana here. Okay, Hushbringer's gonna die. Good. Okay, Paladin, sure. And they're passing the turn. pretty well protected against an attack here. I'm gonna fetch non-basic. Our opponent's playing very tight though. I have to compliment their play. All right, so from here, I think I lead on Might. Maybe I should have led Peatland. That was probably a better move. Okay, and that gives us quite a bit of protection, I think. I would like to think. Okay, we'll attack with the team here. Now, if they don't block with the Hepatra, we kill the Ornithopter as well. All right, I think we're in pretty good position, depending on what they do. We have pretty much a full grip. We have a full board of creatures. We have multiple pieces of interaction here. Okay, and they scoop. Going to game 3. Okay, game 3. Wonder if we bring in Thought Seizes. No, I think we just run with it. I think this is it. All right, game 3. We are on the draw. Our opening 7 is acceptable. They mulligan to 6. So we have a turn 3 Yawg with this hand. They mulligan to 5. As long as they don't kill us like on turn 2, we can do stuff. Turn 1 Hierarch, turn 2 Wall into Blood Artist, and then turn 3 Cord into Yawg. Hopefully that's good enough. They're on 5 cards. See if they go lower. They're thinking about it. Alright, they keep their 5. And they lead on a Saga. Saga into Drum. Let's see if they have a 0 drop. They do have a 0 drop. Wow. So they have Saga, Drum, Hammer. Our best draw from here is a Force of Vigor. That is not it, but that will save us a little bit of life here. So they are missing white mana to get themselves a Sigarda's Aid. Or to get themselves, yeah, Aid into play. I mean, they can, okay, there it is. So if they play Aid here, we know their whole hand. And this is likely a Paladin. Okay, it's a pretty good 5-card hand. And they're drawing a card off that, and then they'll be able to get themselves a Shadow Spear next turn. We can lose to this. We can definitely lose to this. Very powerful. All right, that is not a Force of Vigor. We might be in trouble. Wall of Roots into a Blood Artist here. All right, we need to survive. We need them not to have a hammer in hand. See what they do here, if they make an artifact or if they tap for mana. They're debating whether they make a construct or tap. They make a mana. Getting the Shadow Spear, I would imagine. A second hammer. Do they have the Shadow Spear in hand? Okay, Pithing Needle, sure. And they name Yawgmoth. Okay, yeah, this is a thing. Okay, here I think we're priced into blocking the 12 power. This is a very impressive 5-card hand from our opponent. Birds of Paradise, not great. So we're not out of it just yet. They have Verdant, and we're gonna pass from here. We need to dodge a couple of cards. So we have a Yawgmoth with this, but we can't block and Yawgmoth. So I think we're going to be getting... I think we're gonna be getting our Might here. There's the Might. If they have a Blacksmith skill, we'll probably just lose from this point, but we will see. Oh, so brutal. So brutal. Alright, so now we need like Force of Vigor. That's our out. Yeah, they've kind of had a pretty good sequence of cards here. Hard to beat. Alright, Geist gives us a blocker. We're still shooting for a Force of Vigor. That's how we win this game. Got 3 of them. Alright, I don't even know if Force of Vigor will do it at this point. I suppose it will if we... Oh, this is so rough. So they can just move all their hammers over. Well, I guess we can block from there. Just kind of buying ourselves time here. They have 2 cards in hand. They're moving to combat. And once again, we'll block. Block. I'm going to use this cord here. get myself another Geist, most likely, or maybe a Hapatra. Yeah, Hapatra might be the best card. Play a land, and they pass the turn. Okay. Do we have... Okay, we still have our Dryad Arbor in the deck, so that's good. We'll swing for 2. So if they activate... Okay. They got me. That was their last card. And we lost. It was a pretty perfect 5-card hand. Nothing I can do there. Alright, good games to my opponent. Okay, so this was Yawgmoth list version 8.6. We took it to a 6-2 record today in the challenge, and that was good enough for a top 8 finish. Probably finish in like 7th place overall, if I had to guess. List felt great. I did not miss Messenger throughout the entirety of the day. Messenger isn't really good in a super aggressive metagame, and Hapatra is. And Hapatra did, performed very, very well today. That was kind of our out in that last game of the top 8. Granted, it was a post-board game, but yeah, I think we had a strong showing. I don't think we can really complain about top 8. Sideboard, we didn't really play that diverse a field. We played against Hammertime 3 times, Blue-White Control twice. So that's 5 of our 8 matchups, and then our other 3 were Burn. I don't remember the other 2 off the top of my head, but we didn't really get to use... Oh, we played Breach. That was one of them. We didn't get... Oh, and Blue-Red. There we go. I got it. Got them all. We didn't get to use too many cards out of our sideboard. It was like us just using the same cards over and over. Didn't use the Chalices. Didn't use the Magus. So we didn't really... Those were kind of the cards, the Chalices in particular, that I was looking to kind of gauge in terms of how good they were, how good or bad they were. But yeah, didn't really get the opportunity to see that. But list was solid. Definitely recommend giving it a run. I am happy with the finish. I'm happy with the performance. Would have liked to have won. Would have liked to have won that last match. I think I don't know what more we could have done outside of mulligan our opening hand, but I don't think that we necessarily should have done that. So, you win some, you lose some. I am checking out. I appreciate you watching this video, especially if you've stuck around this long. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. Give me a follow on Twitch. You can head over there. I'll be streaming next weekend. What else? Patreon. There's assets in the Patreon, which is linked below. I'm starting to lose my voice here. I don't know if you can hear it. But yeah, check that out. There's sideboard guides for this deck. Not this version, but a relatively updated version. And I think that's it. Appreciate your support. I'll see you guys next time. Be well.